Welcome in everybody down here in Braves country. It's the start of a new season. It's the start of a new show. I'm Cayden. That's my good friend Jonathan, and welcome in to section 329. How are you doing this fine opening day eve, Jonathan?
I'm doing good, man. It's been a long off season, but I think we're ready to get it going again.
It's been an interesting off season, I think, to say the least. I mean, we've got a new manager, um, a new skipper for um, after the era of Brian Snitker came to kind of an unfortunate end, but he retired, I think, of at least some of his own accord, bringing in
Yeah,
Walt Weiss, who's already been in the dugout for all the success and all of the recent kind of, I don't want to say failure, but I mean that's what it was last year for
right.
this Atlanta Braves team. And he's brought in some new coaches to bring it along, and a few new guys in that dugout that we'll be sure to talk about in this episode.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
So, um, I think we should start with what everyone's going to start with the Atlanta Braves. And it's been the story of the team for the last 2 years, and it's been injuries. In 2023, everyone who was a position player who could carry a bat got hurt. And then last year, the entire pitching rotation was down by July. So you got to think maybe that gets better. And it did not over the offseason. As it stands, the Braves will be out Ha-Sung Kim, the shortstop they brought in last year, who had a lot of success with the team, until at least late May. And then Sean Murphy, kind of around the same time period. Then
hmm
pitching wise, Spencer Strider is on the 15-day IL with an oblique strain. At least the news there is decent. But then you look at Hurston Waldrop and Spencer Schwellenbach, two guys that I think that a lot of Braves fans were counting to take that next step this season, and they're out indefinitely. And so it's just kind of put a damper on things already, and we haven't even seen the boys take the field at Truist Park yet.
Crazy, crazy, crazy. I just I hope that some of these younger guys maybe will get an opportunity to show what they've got and carry us until those guys can sort of come back and help us.
I think, see, we kind of talked about this a little bit in the green room beforehand. It is a very interesting environment where no one is really all that positive, online at least, about this team.
Yeah,
Or you just have the homers and they're like, we're going to win the NL, we're going to win the World Series, which I don't blame them. I can consume some of that myself. But I do have some hopeful optimism about this team. And it's because of the way the Braves historically have developed pitchers. And with that being the whole currently, you got to look just, I mean, to Gwinnett, you got to look to Columbus down in Double A. I mean, there's guys in both of those levels right now that I think could be brought up this year and make a real impact on the major league team. And the first guy who's up, we saw a little bit of him last year in Atlanta, and he got blown up by the no longer Oakland A's. But Didier Fuentes, he makes the opening day roster after a beautiful spring, and the stuff is nasty. He gained 4 mile per hour of velo from last year, probably gained about 20 pounds of muscle in the offseason, just working on his mechanics. And I think he's going to make a real impact, and I think he's going to make a real case to stay on this team even after Spencer Strider comes back from his oblique injury.
I think so too. I don't think the Braves have a choice with him. I think that he's going to have to be good for the Braves. Um, I know that there's guys that may say otherwise, and they may say that, well, this guy, he's young, he's still got to learn how to pitch. I don't know. I think that he got a little bit of experience, hopefully enough experience last season to kind of get a taste for it. Hopefully this season he can kind of take that next step to making hitters swing and miss because he's got that kind of potential. Um, and I think the Braves are going to have him step up like that.
And then we move to another guy, a guy who did not make the opening day roster, but J.R. Ritchie. he made a case to be the last guy remaining. I think that the Braves decided to go in a different direction just to give him a little bit more time to marinate in the
Yeah,
minor leagues. But I mean, one more guy goes down, and I think that's got to be the next call you make
I
is
think so
to
too.
J.R. Ritchie. So he will, I think, without a doubt, he will see some time in Truist Park this year. And by all accounts, I think he should thrive. This is a guy I've actually spoken to personally during my time when he spent like a week and change with the Columbus Clingstones, but very mature beyond his years. Very good interview. One of the most humble people you will ever meet. And he just seems to understand the opportunities he's been given here with the Braves organization. And I do believe that if called upon, J.R. Ritchie will also be able to answer the call. And I don't know if the Braves will even get Hurston Waldrop or Spencer Schwellenbach back this season. The Braves seem to think they will, but I mean, I at this point we have to start looking on the negative side, the glass half empty approach for these
That's
injuries
right.
because they keep happening. It
Yeah.
is a pattern. It's a San Francisco 49ers level pattern at
Where's the
this
Where's the power grid station?
exactly. I mean, did they build one next to Cool Today Field is that or
Who
something like that and
knows? Who knows,
through it?
man?
It's been a problem with this team. But if you want to look at the bright side, and I think that both you and I, at least right now, that's the kind of side of things we want to live on. This lineup is back to raking. And that
Hmm.
is something they did not do last year or even the year before. They struggled at the plate. And this year, the Bats propelled the Braves to win a Grapefruit League title, and they were the best team overall in spring training. None of that means anything at all. It's a cool
Hang the
thing. The
banner.
Braves win a lot of trophies that mean absolutely nothing.
We gotta
But
hang the banner. 2026 spring training champs.
put it up there next to the Speedway Classic.
Put it up to my World Series flag.
Absolutely. But I did something in our little like cheat sheet I made. I went through and collected the last 10 years of grapefruit and cactus league champions. I didn't go and find like an overall champion because typically the grapefruit league is better than the cactus league for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Uh, I think there's just a lot of teams out west that are kind of like stuck in purgatory at the moment.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it doesn't give you as good of a thing. It's like I think I saw a what is it called? I think I saw a stat that said that the Grapefruit League won 25 of the last 31 World Series.
Huh.
Um, and then, but the Cactus League currently is on a roll because I mean the Rangers
Well.
won, then the Dodgers, then the Dodgers.
Yeah.
So that definitely helps them. But and even before that, I mean it was the Astros. So the Braves are the last Grapefruit team to win a World
Yeah.
Series. Um, Actually, never mind. I'm stupid because the Astros also have a or grapefruit too. But
Oh.
anyway,
Okay. Well.
it's so hard to keep
Anyway.
up with spring training.
Yeah.
But I looked at it, and the results are kind of all over the place. So you have a lot of teams that just did not make it. You have teams that the Angels are like the dynasty of spring training. They win this thing so much, and they never do anything with it. But then you go and you look back, like, well, last year the Grapefruit League, the Blue Jays won it. They went on to win the pennant, and they gave the Dodgers all they could handle in the World Series. Don't look at the other side where it was the Giants. The Orioles, they were a wild card team back in 2024, and on the Cactus League side, it was the Dodgers. They win the World Series. We have a cat making an appearance in the background now. Absolutely love it. She heard food, and that was all
Yeah.
she was coming. But then, the Cardinals in 2022, they won their division after winning. The Dodgers in 2020 won a World Series. The Yankees made the NLC or the ALCS in 2019. The A's made the wild card. Like it is not a one-to-one sign of future success, but a lot of these teams go on to do good things. It is
Yeah.
definitely helpful to get a good start during spring training if you are actually playing your major league players, which is what the Braves for the most part did
Yeah,
during spring training.
that's right. I think it kind of. I know the Braves feed off of energy like this. When they get on a roll, it's hard to take them off of that momentum. And I think having that momentum coming out of spring could be good.
Saying the Braves are a team like historically that's very streaky. They both, I mean, they get on a roll where they just feel like they cannot be stopped. But then also, I mean, last year they just couldn't get out of their own way. It was negative momentum all year long, and
Mm-hmm.
hopefully not starting. I mean, spring they were kind of lackluster last year, and then they had to go out west and play 7 games straight against the Padres and Dodgers. They don't have to do that this year,
No, they
so
don't.
get a good start at home. The only the second, I think, opening day um, home start for the Braves since Truist was opened.
MLB
So
hates us, man. They hate us.
it's crazy. I think the Braves do that on purpose, in all honesty, because they want
They,
the late date instead of the early date. But still,
that's probably true.
it's just. But this year, I think they absolutely need it because that core, I think they do see the writing on the wall that if they don't do it this year, it's a good chance that that not all of them, but a good majority of them will be playing in a different uniform next year. That this is their last shot to kind of show that they are still the big bad Braves that won a World Series in 2021, that went on and just dominated the regular season in 2023, and they just haven't been the same since.
Mm-mm.
And I think this is the time that they have to go and show it that they are who everyone thinks they are.
Yes, I agree.
You Well, we talked about a little bit about pitcher injuries. I don't really want to harp on that as much because I mean everyone's talking about the Braves and pitcher injuries. Um, I do want to talk a little bit more about some of the additions that the
Yeah,
Braves made pretty recently. They brought in Osvaldo Bido. He's a righty, 30 years old. Limited time here in the major leagues, and he's done kind of everything. Spot starts. He's been a long reliever. He's come in low leverage situations in relief. He's started a bunch of games. He had a really good 2024 season, or at least pretty good 2024 season. He for Pittsburgh in 2020, or sorry, that was in 2023 for Pittsburgh. 2024 for Oakland, he had a 3.41 ERA in 16 games, and that was in 9 starts. And everything under the surface looks really good. A whip right down around 1, and then you go back and you look last year, and he kind of regressed to his career norm, which is not very much. I mean, he only had the one season in Pittsburgh before ending up in Oakland, but new ballpark for the Athletics, and you can kind of tell 5.87 ERA. In 26 games this time, he only started 10, but he gave up double the hits in less than double the innings, or in
mm-hmm.
only, excuse me, 16 more
Half.
innings. So he gave
Yeah,
up more than double the hits in that time, more than double the runs. And he just didn't seem to be able to sequence nearly as well because a lot of if you look at his Savant page, arm angle, the velocity of his pitches, everything else seemed up to snuff, and he just got hit around the yard a little bit. So I'm kind of
mm-hmm.
curious to see how the Braves are going to handle him because he made the opening roster. I think there's a good chance he's going to get a spot start when that fourth or that fifth spot in line rolls around. That
Yeah.
he'll be the guy they turn to just to see what they have. Um, but he
I
has a
think so.
really live.
Yes, yes, he does. I think that again, with the Braves having so many injuries on the pitching side, you got to have guys like that that can come in and step up just to get through that game, and he's going to be that kind of guy. I think of him sort of like a Yanni Chirinos from years prior, or somebody like that. That's kind of how I look at him, and we'll just have to wait and see how that turns out. But it could be a good claim, waiver claim for the Braves in the long term.
In spring training this year, actually, I'm gonna pull up his spring training stats. Um, so spring training this year with the Yankees, he had a 129 ERA in 7 games. That's through 7 innings pitched, but he did give up 5 hits in those 7 innings. Whip around 1-1, so it's
Hmm.
not a big deal. It seems like he struggles more with the. He struggled a little bit with the walks. He gave up 3 walks to only 7 strikeouts, which with his kind of stuff, I mean, only a 1 strikeout to inning ratio is not. I mean, it's kind of low for a guy
Yeah.
of that caliber stuff. But I mean, the if the Braves like what they see right now, they're very low on the waiver wire. They can kind of go and get who they want.
Hmm.
So I mean, I think that we can turn around in 2 or 3 weeks and Beto's coming out of the bullpen, and everyone's like, "Where in the world do the Braves find this guy?" Because it kind of always seems to happen for them.
Yeah.
The Braves very good at scouting pitching. I mean, whether that be at high school level, college level, other MLB teams, they know what is undervalued. And
Hmm.
every year at the trade deadline, they go and get a reliever that was on no one else's radar, and he just goes out and suddenly he's the eighth inning guy, and he's kind of a shutdown, not really closer, but I mean he's getting the job done for you night in night out. And
Right.
before he was a low leverage guy for the Rockies, and no one really saw it. The Braves just naturally have like their personnel that they have in place. Who was the new hitting coach that they brought, or the new pitching coach they brought in this year?
From the Mets, right?
The Mets.
What's his
It
name?
is Jeremy Hefner,
That's right.
who is fantastic because the dude just is an analytical genius when it comes to pitching. He sees mechanics in a way that I feel like a lot of the other people in the industry just do not see. Uh,
Hmm.
and I think he's going to unlock some of these like younger guys that are just now coming up. He's going to turn them into absolute monsters. But someone like Beto, who's just kind of, I mean, I don't want to say it's his last chance in the big leagues, but this will be his third organization or his fourth organization in 3 years,
Right.
or well, 4 years because he did spend 2 with the A's. But just, I mean, last chance, and if he's willing to give it, I think that the Braves have the kind of lab to turn him into what he wants to be.
Right. I do too. I think Hefner is a really really good addition to our coaching staff this year, and only time will tell. But I think that it could be one of the most underrated, I guess you could say, roster changes across the league this year. Not necessarily a player, but as a coach. And
Yeah, I think
I
as a coaching thing, I think it's flew really under the radar because I think a lot of people liked Rick Kranitz and what he did. Like last year, the staff hung on as
yeah,
long as it possibly could, and then in
yes,
2024, I mean, the staff carried that team to a playoff berth when the bats did nothing any given night. So
that's right.
I think everyone really likes what Kranitz did, but I do think it. I think a lot of it was like maybe we need to get someone else in because of all the injuries, which we've now learned is not necessarily Kranitz's fault. We might have just I don't know if they kept the same training staff, but if they did, then it's already
Uh oh.
showing.
Yeah, yeah. Who knows, man? It's just it's tough to see as a fan. You want all these guys to do well every year, and it's tough to see your favorite players not even be able to go perform. It's it's tough, but we'll have to just wait and see what happens this year with the injuries we're already facing.
And then I'm looking now. I think we talked about it a little bit that if we turned it around and the Braves were leading the National League 60 games in, we would not be all that surprised. But if they were also in fourth place in the East after 60, it's also not all that surprising.
Yeah,
Like, this is a true wild card team in the fact that I think they could finish anywhere from worst to first.
I agree. I don't really know what to expect for this season. I think it's a make or break season in a lot of ways, like we were talking about too. Um, I think there's a lot of stuff that will happen based on how the Braves finish this season, and it may not even have to be the entire season. It just may be at the trade deadline.
I think that if the Braves, I think they're going to have to look at themselves, and if this year is going like how last year went, they probably need to look at actually dismantling the core to a certain degree at the
Yeah.
deadline. And by a certain degree, I mean kind of strip it down to the bones that you think the guys who will be talented enough to be a fixture for the organization for the next after the next rebuild is done in 3 years, if you can plan it out for 3 years from now.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, I mean, Drake Baldwin, your reigning rookie of the year from behind the plate. It's really hard to find good catchers, and the Braves continue to do so. So I think that's something to kind of hang your hat on. Matt Olson, I think, is still maybe the most underrated player in the league because
Yes.
everyone just doesn't include him in the first base discussions, and clearly, statistically, he is the best both offensively and defensively. And then Ronald Acuna Jr. Just I think those are the three guys that you would say, no, I'm not trading you under any circumstance. But I think everybody else, at least position player wise, not talking about pitching,
Yeah.
that you would say, well, I mean, if we're not going to win, I don't want your money on the books. I don't know if you're going to be good enough for long enough. And I don't know. Like, Riley has looked fantastic in spring. Austin Riley has had his best spring by far. And this is for
Hmm.
someone who typically has a really slow start and has to kind of dig his way out of it. If he can start out hot, that's fantastic. But if the Braves are terrible again, I mean, Austin Riley, I mean, on a really long term deal with a lot of money, I mean, that's someone that you would probably, I don't know if you even could get rid of him
Yeah.
for his contract, but someone probably would take him and see what you just shop him around, see what you can get. Michael Harris, kind of in the same situation, just never quite broke out. His best year was his rookie year. Um, and he just never kind of hit the next stride that we expected him to. I thought he had a fantastic spring in what he was probably working on, like just not swinging at everything, walking more. He walked at about Luis Arias rates this spring,
Yeah.
so he's not gonna do that. He's gonna strike out more as they actually get into real ball. But if Mike can just get on base, he's gonna steal 30, 40 bags if he's on base enough.
Hmm.
And he doesn't need to hit home runs for the team. He just needs to be on base and set the table for the top of the lineup. If they're healthy, Ronald Acuna will knock him in.
That's
I
right.
mean, Matt Olson, Drake Baldwin, those guys will get him across home plate. So, and then just play Gold Glove worthy defense for a full 162. That'd be
Right.
nice. Like
That's
staying on
right.
the field, and and then I guess we want to talk about a guy who maybe did not have the best spring. That was Ozzy Albies, just a guy who probably genuinely my favorite Brave on this in this kind of current era for them.
Yeah.
Absolutely love Ozzy Albies, and he's on the last year of his contract with the team. And unless he steps it up, I genuinely do not see a world where he's back next year.
I don't either. I thought that there was a chance they wouldn't even pick up his option for this year.
I think it genuinely depends on like if he can, because his defense is not there,
Mm-mm.
and his power hitting has gone. Just he can't power hit anymore.
Mm-mm.
I mean, if you maybe just want to turn him into, I mean, you pick a side, righty or lefty. You don't
Yeah.
switch hit anymore, but I think Ozzy needs to switch hit
He
because
does.
that's kind of his only spot place in the lineup. As he kind of makes it difficult um, if you put him in the correct spot to bring in a righty or a lefty in certain spots of this thing. But he is not near as much part of the future as other guys that came up around the same time
Right.
are.
That's
Like
right.
even if he does get a short contract renewal, that's what it will be. It will be a short contract. Like the longest I can see is 3 years,
Me too.
maybe probably pretty cheap, and just
Hmm.
keep him around as a clubhouse guy.
Yeah.
That's kind of it until you have a middle infielder ready to go, and realistically, two middle infielders ready to go because the shortstop position is not filled after this year.
No,
So, um, that's kind
I,
of
I was just gonna say that John Gill, the prospect that we've got, he's been raking this spring, and he doesn't have the experience, or he's very young. I could see him in the next, say, 3 years really starting to show off what he can do for us. And and I don't know. There's some other guys like Lodis and some of those other guys that we have in the farm that could step it up a little bit for on that shortstop side of the ball. And I think you could see some of those guys make an appearance maybe if things go south this season.
um yeah. So looking right now, I mean, Lodis is in high A
Yeah.
ball right now, but he's not due till 2028. Actually, the Braves' fourth ranked prospect. So outside of the big pitchers, Caminiti, Richie, and Fuentes, um, the top prospect is Tate Southazine, who's a shortstop slash outfielder, but
Hmm.
he's in Augusta right now, and he's not due
Okay.
till 2029 as a 19-year-old.
Wow.
Um, John he'll start the year in Columbus. I'm very excited to see him every night. Someone who's Jose Perdomo, rookie ball,
Mm-hmm.
but someone who's not on the list at all that I'm kind of interested in. You're going to have to Google him. Jim Jarvis. He
Yeah.
had a pretty good cup of coffee in Columbus. He actually took some at bats in Gwinnett last year, and I'm going to have to um, bring up his profile. But yeah, he'll start, and he's probably, I guess, the guy who's gonna come up starting next, or would be like the first guy up in case of a an emergency, like you need a middle infielder.
Yeah.
He's got like pretty good defense. He actually was part of the Montero trade last year. He
Hmm.
was drafted by the Tigers in 2023, and this
That's
was a
right.
return. So for three, he made his way all the way up from, or well, he started in Double A for the Tigers for Erie. Then he played 21 games in Columbus, 3 games for Gwinnett last season. But I mean, he hit 265 in 21 games for Columbus, and that's in 83 at bats. And he in 83 at bats, he had 20 runs and 22 hits. He's a guy who just gets on base. 344 OBP. Um, so not a lot of slug in that bat, but if you just want a young kid, like if you need it, I think Jarvis would be right there. And then I guess Nacho Alvarez is always kind of lurking as well.
Yeah. I think you could see that because we have Kyle Farmer, who made the opening day roster as well. I think just for an experience standpoint, he's a guy that could kind of fill any one of those, except for maybe first base. I don't think he's a first baseman. I think he could fill second, third, or short, if they absolutely had to have him.
And then I mean, if you really need to, you can move Dubon wherever, and then have someone else take over shortstop.
That's right. That's
Who
right.
might be, well, Dubon's frankly a Gold Glover defensively. He's
Right.
fantastic, and I mean he hit really well during the spring. So maybe him starting out, maybe Kim never earns his position back. Maybe it's an Arcia situation.
Yeah.
Um, but we'll
Yep.
see on
Hmm.
that front. Anything else you want to talk about, like in for the like going forward kind of predictions, just people to keep an eye on before we get into this next series?
I was gonna say don't take testosterone in
Jokes.
regards to Profire. We can ignore that one though. I think everybody's kind of moved on from him.
I think everyone just wants him out of the organization. I understand why he's not, because you'd have to pay him, and right now
Right.
you don't have to pay him. So you kick the can down the road. He's not going to be in the locker room anyways. But
Nope.
Just it's ridiculous at this point.
It is, and I had high hopes for him this season, but can't have him now.
The lineup looked so much better when he was starting because it was like you could put or you could realistically put Yaz and left him at DH, and
Yeah,
this lineup lengthens. And now
that's
it's
right.
like, oh no,
Yeah,
with the Murphy injury and the injury to Kim, it's a real tough time.
it's going to be interesting to see what they do with the DH now that Ozuna's gone. I think you're going to have maybe a rotation. I could see Jonah Heim getting some starts at DH.
He was terrible in the
He
spring.
was. He was. He was. I could see him, maybe Yaz. It just depends on. I guess that it's going to be Walt's decision ultimately, but I could see a handful of guys competing for that DH spot this season, and it'll be interesting to track and see that. I think you're going to have a revolving door of players that are going to fill that slot.
Well, and if you looked at I mean, they also are looking at putting in like I'm trying to look Dominic Smith at
Yes.
some time in that spot in spring. I think they're going to have to play Yastrzemski against both righties and lefties at least to start the season and
Yeah.
just figure it out because you're kind of in a situation. I think Farmer is going to get some chances in early on to prove himself. So,
Yes.
and honestly, I'm really shocked that Nacho Alvarez did not make this team.
Me too.
I get that Dubon kind of already plays that utility role, but he's your starting shortstop.
Right.
And Nacho did not do well last year. I get that when he had to come in for Riley, but I mean, who else is there at
Right.
this point? You
That's right.
so
They just got to stay some sort of healthy in certain positions, just enough to make it where you won't have to have that emergency so-called scenario happen, like we had so much of last year, where you had guys, who is this guy? I've never heard of this guy. And I'm just hoping we don't have a season like that.
yes. Um, I think moving on to opening weekend,
Yeah,
you invite the Kansas City Royals to town, who just said bye to our dear friend Drew Waters, designated him for assignment.
did they really? I
Um,
didn't even know
they
that.
did that this morning. So what a bust in Drew Waters. My goodness.
Hey, we got that competitive balance back from him though.
Yeah, we did. Um, but looking at their projected lineup, you will face Michael Garcia, World Baseball Classic MVP, Bobby Witt Jr., Vinny Pasquantino, Salvador Perez, um, Jack Caglin. I can never say his name. The guy from
Caglione.
Caglione, the guy from Florida, Jonathan India, Carter Jensen at DH, Isaac Collins in the outfield, Kyle Isbell bringing it up
Hmm.
in the 9 hole. And this is a team that I think is really scary in the first like 4 to 6 hitters. After that, I mean, there's a weak underbelly to the Kansas
Yeah,
City Royals. The problem is, so the Braves have that exact same problem right now.
that's right. I think
Um,
you've got to. I think it's gonna come down to pitching, honestly. And it's Sale versus it's who's starting for them.
Sale versus Reagan's
That's right.
opening night Friday.
That'll be a really good matchup. I think it'll be a pretty. I'm gonna say low scoring. I don't know. Opening day, you don't really know how guys are really gonna show up or not. But I my gut, it's gonna be like a 3-2 or a 5-3 type game, with both aces going for each team.
A lot of nerves on opening day. I mean, the Royals are younger than the Braves. Well, not
Yeah.
really. I mean, both of these teams are kind of experienced at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you face of the team. I mean, Bobby Witt Jr. is pretty young for his superstar status, but I mean, he's been playing in the big leagues for a few years now. So,
Right.
I mean, I don't think it's going to intimidate anybody being in the
No,
big leagues.
I don't
Um,
either.
and I don't expect to see Didier Fuentes at all. And this wouldn't even be his first time in the big leagues. So,
Right.
I think it's going to be like I think these are two teams that really want to redeem themselves for last year. I mean, the
Absolutely.
Royals. were really good in 2024, and they just did not have it last year.
Yes.
Um, and they have all the talent in the world to make a run a at least the AL Central, if not make some noise in the playoffs in the American League. So they're looking to get off to a hot start. Like we mentioned, it's Sale and Reagan's in game one. Saturday night, Michael Waka, Reynaldo Lopez, which is very interesting.
Hmm.
And then Seth Lugo versus TBD, but I would have to assume Grant Holmes on Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah. I like we've said before, the pitching staff has a lot of question marks, just like the whole team does. But you've got guys that have proven themselves before. They're going to have to do the same thing now, and those 3 games I think are going to be pretty telling. It may take a couple of series for them to get going, but I think you're going to learn a lot about the team in that first week or so of the season with some of those guys, especially guys like Grant Holmes who coming off of an injury and things like that. I think you're going to see guys that are they're going to step it up a little bit, hopefully, and we're just going to have to wait and see how that plays out.
Um, it's interesting you mentioned that because I was looking at the schedule today. The schedule is so manageable. It is
Yes.
probably the easiest schedule in the major leagues to start for the first month or so
Yeah.
of things. I mean, I didn't look at everybody's schedule, so I have no clue. Like
Right.
someone could just get it really easy out of the gates where they play nothing but Colorado, Washington, and Miami.
Don't
Um,
look at the Dodgers. I bet you they have some of that.
I mean, looking at it, you start out with three against the Royals at home, three against the A's at home, and then you go immediately. You go out west. But if you're going to go out west to start the season, you know who you would like to have out west? The Arizona Diamondbacks and the Los Angeles Angels. That is
Exactly.
how you start a season. That's your 13 straight games to start the year. And I mean, all four of those series are winnable. I
Absolutely.
think Kansas City is your toughest of those four, and they didn't make the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
So Oakland's going to have something to prove, but I don't think they're quite there yet.
Hmm.
Arizona, who knows? They're in a very similar situation to Atlanta. And
Hmm.
then, I mean, the Angels are the Angels. So
Who knows with them?
that's the first week. Then you get an off day, and then you welcome in the Cleveland Guardians into town for three, then the Miami Marlins. So your first 3 weeks of the season are against none of those teams made the playoffs last year.
That's right.
Then you have to go to Philly, but I mean, it kind
We'll
of comes
worry
from the
about that when you
territory.
get there.
You have to start off with these first 3 weeks running. You need to have a winning record,
Absolutely.
and you need to have a pretty comfortable winning record
Absolutely.
through those first 3 weeks of the season to get
Absolutely.
ready to go into Citizens Bank and be ready to fight battle one of that series that is going to determine the NL East. It's going to
Yeah.
be that and the New York Mets series, and then them playing each other. That's going to
Yep.
decide who wins.
I agree.
And I think the Braves can do it. I genuinely do, but they have got to get off running. And then, hey, if they win, 7 of the first 10, and then they get Spencer Strider back. Then they're looking at getting Kim back. They're looking at getting Murphy back. Suddenly, this team has some momentum, and you can actually ride that
Yeah.
for majority of the way. But if you lose three of the first, or if you lose 7 of the first 10, and you're 3-7, and then you split the series against Miami, and it's just not a good time, and then you have to go to Philadelphia. That can, and I think that kind of would be the end for this sport because I just don't see them having the ability to dig out of a hole like they
The
did last
Brave, like we said earlier, the Braves are streaky. I could easily see it going either way, where the Braves start off really hot or they just start off pretty cold. But then when they get to that higher level play, I could see them really turn it on because they, for whatever reason, the last couple of years, they seem to want to step up to the competition. Whether it's the Phillies, the Dodgers, maybe not so much the Dodgers, but the Phillies, the Mets, your NL East rivals that have always, you know, been the most difficult teams that you play year in and year out. and for whatever reason, the Braves seem to want to always go and play their best, which you love to see that. But I could definitely see them going one of two ways or both ways, if it comes to that.
I totally agree. It's kind of a fence riding thing to say, but I mean, this team is the most unpredictable team in the National League.
It is.
So I think that, and I would not be. I don't think anyone would be crazy to like. This is the team that's going to make the World Series. Okay, cool. They have the talent to do it.
Right.
Well, they're gonna. I mean, they're gonna only win 79 games. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, totally cool. Um,
Yep.
so we'll see. I think that's going to wrap it up, though, for the first show here. Section 329. Maybe we'll give you the lore behind the name at some point. But I think that's a good start of the show. We'll be back at some point with a review of either the first series or the first homestand. Maybe I'll upload some individual game reviews, just myself, and we'll see. But unless you have anything else to say, Jonathan,
I think I'm good. I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to seeing how the season gets going and hope for the best, right?
hope for the best, plan for the worst.
Yes.
Like Xanthopoulos. Anyways,
Oh boy.
I'm Cayden. That's Jonathan, and take a seat here in section 329.